Well, happy Monday. That's strange to say, isn't it? I usually don't say happy Monday. But we're going to do that. We're going to say happy Monday, and we're going to get started with another adventure at 9 at 9. Thanks for joining us in this time of doing church very differently. We thought we would do a kind of a morning devotion to kind of help you keep focused and stay together, and a way that we could continue to connect with you. Because when we can't do church on Sunday, I miss you guys. I miss you a lot, and I'm glad to at least have this technology and this opportunity to share with you. Yesterday's Bible verse, Jesus on the cross shouting out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" is one of the hardest verses in the Bible to read. It is hard to understand the despair that Jesus is feeling. He had been faithful through everything. We have the prayer in Gethsemane where he asked for another way, and the Father doesn't give him another way, and he obeys the Father and says, "Not my will, but yours." We have the awful things that he endured, the beatings, the betrayals, which probably hurt more than the beatings. If you had known Jesus, you probably would not be able to recognize him in this moment. He would have been that messed up by the torture and by his execution. And now, in this moment, he can't find the Father. He's always known the Father. He's the one who told us that he and the Father are one. Now he feels forsaken. What do you do with that? And what does it say to us that follow him, that there are moments when the Son himself can't find the Father? First of all, I'm going to take a little hope from that. Now, I know that's a strange verse to find hopeful, but I do. There are times when I feel like the song that says, and the three people I admired most, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, caught the last train for the coast. And you're on your own, by yourself. You have messed up so badly, nobody's returning your calls. You are so lost and confused. You don't know how you got there. You don't know how you're going to get back. It's despair. Now, despair is the moment you get to when you don't think even God can fix it. When you think things are so messed up, your decision is so awful, your choices are so bad, your mistake is so huge that not even God can fix it. We're dealing now in our country with what we call deaths of despair. Young adults, especially young adult white males, are not able to find a purpose. They're not able to find meaning, so they are wasting their lives with alcohol addiction, drug addictions, opiates. They're committing suicide because they cannot find a reason to go on. They are in despair. Let me tell you how serious this is. For the first time in a long time, the average length of the American life dropped. And it dropped because of the number of deaths of despair. There are so many young white men killing themselves, dying in alcohol addiction and drug addiction, that it is now impacting the average lifespan of America. That's how serious this problem is. Now, the reason I take hope from this is it helps me to know Jesus knows what this feels like. He and the Father are one. Now, in this moment, he can't find the Father. He doesn't know where the Father is. Now, hold on. Don't turn me off yet, because you'll hear half the story. But he understands what that feels like. Now, here's why that's important. Sometimes when you want to pray, you feel so stupid you don't know what to say. You don't want to explain it anymore. The good news of Jesus knowing what you're going through is you don't have to explain to him what it feels like. This is what's going on. This is where I am. You know. Now, when Jesus took the weight of the whole world's sin, when that fell on him, so did the consequences of that sin. And yes, punishment and all of that. But do you know that one of the things that sin does is it makes you numb? Did you know that? If you get into something, then it takes you one more step to get the same fix, right? You start drinking, and it's just one drink. Well, then one drink doesn't work. Then you need 2 drinks. Then 2 drinks don't work, and now you need 3. You start looking at pornography online, and then, well, that level of engagement with pornography no longer has the same emotional fix. So you go to the next level and the next level. And then pretty soon you're into stuff that, man, you thought you would never be at because it keeps making you numb. I can't feel anymore. To the point that you will get so deep in pornography, you won't be able to feel real love when it comes. Now, why is this important? When the whole weight of the world's sin fell on Jesus, numbness was part of it. Jesus became so numb, he couldn't find the Father. Now, the Father is there. He couldn't find him. This is Jesus at his most human. God is always there. The Bible tells us you can go to the deepest hell, and God is already there. You can go to the highest heaven, and God is already there. It doesn't matter where you make your bed. You can't get away from God. But if you're that messed up in your sin, you can't find him, even though he's right there. Now, I've told you a story before. I'll tell you again. My father and I got in an argument over this passage. He was reading, getting ready to study for his Sunday school class, and he got here and he said, now this is the part where God turns his back on Jesus. Jesus became sin, God's holy, so God turns his back on his son, and that's why the darkness comes. And I said, Dad, that's not what I don't think happened. And so Dad and I began to argue. And I finally told him, I said, Jesus did everything that God told him to do. He did everything the Father wanted him to do. So you're telling me that if I am faithful, when it gets to the hardest time, God won't be there for me. Is that what you're telling me? So we began to argue some more, and finally I looked at my dad and I said, would you have left me? And my dad looked at me as if I had slapped him. No, son, you know that. I would never leave you. And I said, neither would God leave Jesus. He's there. He's never left him. But Jesus, in the humanness of the sin, couldn't find him. Here's the good news, and here's why I take hope. Jesus understands what it feels like to not be able to find God. So when you pray to him in your despair, you don't have to do a whole lot of explaining. This is a tough moment in the crucifixion of Jesus, but I'm going to give you 60 seconds to think about your own despair, your own hopelessness, and think about how God is even there, even when you don't feel like he is. Here's 60 seconds. Start now.